Hundreds of youth from Abia State have taken to the streets to protest what they call political marginalization. The youths who are from East and Ukwa West of the state claim that major political offices have been taken up by other zones in the state, leaving them without any position.
This is the scenario on the Port Harcourt Expressway along the Abia State axis, where some youths carrying placards came out in protest, chanting solidarity songs to express their displeasure. Citing the police, they went into a frenzy, but the officer in charge urged them to calm down and allow a free flow of traffic. Their grouse has to do with the governorship ticket. According to the protesting youths, their area has been left with nothing.
I want to tell you, it is one answer we cannot give our children. If you keep quiet, hold our arms and see the resources made and directed for our place being used to develop other areas and that environmental, economic, and human capital development without taking a power position in the scheme of things. That position is the position we are standing here to challenge. Yes!
Youth, I think we should have a better stake, so long as the governance is concerned. Yes.
The special advisor to the governor of the state, Mr. Agu Upia, believes their protest is uncalled for because the governorship candidate is from their area.
There are so many ways, democratic way of resolving this matter. Table your matter before the appropriate authority and we dialogue. And that is what this country is going now. Everything is going dialogue now. It's not by violence. You can't carry arms against the people there.
Abia State in recent times has been peaceful. Therefore, all concerned parties would have to put hands together to ensure its sustenance.
Turn our attention now to security matters. The Director of Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade, today confirmed that 75 members of the insurgent group Boko Haram were killed in the early hours of today by the Nigerian army in Borno State. The insurgents are reported to have attacked men of the Nigerian army protecting PHCN staff carrying out repair work on power installations in Bulaburing village. The militants, who came in a convoy of Hilux vans and motorcycles, opened fire but were countered by the military. A source claims that they had been informed about the impending attack and so were prepared for the encounter. Meanwhile, the federal government has promised to do all it can to protect the country's territorial integrity while cushioning the effects of the deaths of fallen officers have had on their families. The Minister of Defense, Ali Oguso, made the promise at a burial ceremony in honor of 2 military officers who paid the ultimate price in the fight against insurgency in the northeast. The minister also promised that government will continue to provide support for the armed forces and care for the families of fallen heroes.
It is surely not the best of times for the armed forces. Service chiefs and other officers of the Nigeria Armed Forces gathered to lay to rest and pay tributes to 2 officers who paid the ultimate price in the war against insurgents in the northeast. Group Captain Ubong Akpan and Master Warrant Officer Hosea Zabesan were both in the military helicopter that crashed last month in the northeastern part of the country. Like several other officers who have paid the ultimate price for their fatherland, the government says their death will not be in vain.
We must be proud of these gentlemen who gallantly paid the supreme sacrifice in the service of our fatherland. We must therefore continue to remember them as a nation, and we must not let the sacrifice they paid with their lives be in vain.
For the Chief of Air Staff, the gallantry displayed by the fallen officers is one that will keep the military alive.
These 2 gallant gentlemen took a risk in the middle of the night, took off on an armed patrol. Unfortunately, they are no more. What we want to assure the family is that death will not be in vain.
The government also promised to provide for the bereaved families.
Mr. President is equally committed to doing all that is possible to support the armed forces and carry out its responsibility of defending the territorial integrity of our nation. As we commiserate with you, be assured that their sacrifice is not in vain, and the whole nation mourns with you and stands by you. On our part, we shall do everything possible to alleviate the hardship caused by their death.
This bravery, which is exemplified in the efforts of the two fallen officers, will continue to inspire their colleagues at the battlefront, and the tribute to them will be to eventually win the war against terror.
The chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, Professor Chidi Odinkalu, has tasked victims of bomb blasts around Nigeria to come together as a group to demand their rights from the federal government. Professor Odinkalu told bomb victims who came to the commission to seek redress from government that there is an established protocol for managing cases of the victims. He said despite the existence of a victims support fund, thousands of victims of bomb blasts in the country are suffering without care or support.
Right now, my wife has spent almost 8 months in the hospital. We were in the government hospital for 7 months. And later we were discharged, not as if forcefully discharged, because she's not okay.
I foot every bill from day one. Even when I went to the General Hospital Suleja, I discovered a bill was placed on my head, about 500 and something thousand. Even as at when it happened, I did not even receive even paracetamol from the hospital.
I have some particles on my legs that is just to be removed. One of my limbs right two down, and I still have one here.
We were buying drugs with our money, just as he said. He also that he forgot about us. When we reported to the CMD of the hospital, he said that there is no fund, that the federal government has not released any money.
It's the same story from all of them. This group visited the National Human Rights Commission on behalf of a larger group to seek redress and attention from the authorities. Their demand is that federal government should fulfill its pledges of giving them complete treatment for different degrees of injuries incurred from bomb blasts that have occurred in the country from December 31st, 2010 till date.
We therefore write to solicit for help from the Human Rights Commission to cause the federal government of Nigeria to redeem their pledges for our treatment. Most of us have mortgaged our inheritance and sold our properties to settle our medical expenses. Some have dropped out of school and some are still on sick bed.
But the chairman of the commission said they must set up an association of bomb victims first as a means of having a legal voice upon which their demands can rest.
If we don't even know how many of our citizens have been affected, we can't care for all of them. We can't even begin to make the provisions we need to make to care for all of them. But we do need an association that can articulate, that can lead in rallying the country to attention on the human consequences of what is happening and on why we need to care and how we can care about our citizens.
The biggest issue in Nigeria, especially as 2015 approaches, is safety and security. And so the task set before the victims of bomb blasts in the country by the human rights boss is to pull together the victims to speak with one loud voice to the rights quarters. Omelogo Nnadi, Channels Television News.
And when the news at 10 returns, children at the SOA's village in Lagos to celebrate Christmas on a high. That's courtesy of Shell Nigeria Exploration and Production Company. Please join us again.